think we're live now. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Reginal Drummer, the peopleologist, coming to you live on this first Sunday in May. And guess what? We working. We ready. I'd like to thank everybody for joining us. Please support, subscribe over here at Square Mile Media, Atlanta. We are a contributing factor over here. We bring our mouth to the conversation. But there's a lot of people over here sharing some great information. We work it. Let me do it like the right way. I guess I do it this way. We work it, but we are ready. And tonight, it's like no other night. No matter what we're doing, we're always thinking about what we need to do to make sure that we are prepared to do those things that are necessary for the forward movement of ourselves, our families, and our community. I'd like to send a personal shout out to our brother from Albany, Georgia, Brother King Randall. King Randall is a 22-year-old young brother that's already done a school up, put some things in motion, and he just led a male march yesterday. I was not able to be there, but some of my nephews and my grandnephews were able to get there. When you see young people putting in the work that's necessary to make things happen for the future. I know a lot of times we say the young people not doing nothing. They're not making nothing happen. They're just sitting around playing video games. But this brother, King Randall, is doing a phenomenal job. He has a school down there. He's been doing this since he was 19. And if you look at crime around our cities, everybody always talking about what we need to do to help the young people, what we need to do to help stop violence, what we need to do to prepare our young people for jobs. But this young brother is doing a phenomenal job. So I want to send a shout out for King Randall and the whole weekend, the opportunity that he had down in my hometown, Albany, Georgia. But tonight, ladies and gentlemen, anytime you bring that flag out, we talking about America. Anytime we bring that flag out, we talking about America. Anytime we bring that flag out, we're talking about America. So hint, hint, clue, clue, I want you to take a seat back and think about something. One of the things that's coming up is voting. And we say vote, voting, voted, whatever. And a lot of people, sometimes they say to themselves, I don't know why I vote. What is it accomplishing? Voting's outdated. The deck is stacked. I don't know, do the politicians do what I need them to do? All this type of stuff. But the big thing is, I say to all my ancestors that shed blood for our right to vote. You'll understand and understand why voting is so critical, why voting is so important. When you look at everything we need, everything we want to have is based on voting. So tonight, one of the things that we're going to prepare ourselves for is getting ready for the vote. We encourage people to check their voting status, check your voting status, check your voting status. One thing about America, America is not going to come by and send you a memo. They'll send you flowers and things like that. But they're not going to come and tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, buddy, don't forget to vote. They don't want you to vote. Okay? They don't want you to vote. They don't want you to vote because they know on local elections that determines a lot of things. That determines if your streets get paid. That determines if schools are sufficient in your community. That determines a lot of stuff, gerrymandering, redistricting, all that stuff. We just had a new district created here in Georgia, I think, House District 62. But tonight, I'm joined by a person that's really worked in the community. She's actually held office, elected to represent the people, and that's Dr. Sharon Beasley Teague. Dr. Sharon Beasley Teague, how you doing, my sister?
I'm doing great. How you doing tonight, Mr. Drummer?
Oh man, if you do this good, this all, the way I'm feeling right now, this just like heaven.
Oh, that's all right.
This is how good I feel. I feel real good. And one of the things I really like talking about is our position as, and I just put it out front, especially as Black, brown people. and our position in America when it comes down to voting. And I'm gonna let you introduce yourself. You have a lot of accolades. I know you actually held down public office. You actually uh, moved and motivated myself and others to come down to the Capitol. We would come down with Fred V. Man Watson and come down to see the Capitol. Personally, I had never been down to the Capitol. I didn't see a need to go down there. I didn't know what was going on, and we did that, and we're gonna do some more of those because it made it clear uh, many things that we needed to know about what goes on in our state, at our state level and our local level, and things of that nature. Especially here in Atlanta, Atlanta being the capital. A lot of times people, when I was growing up, we learned all 50 states and we learned all 50 capitals, but we didn't know the importance of the capital until later. But to introduce yourself, I mean, some that already know you, and to reintroduce yourself to others that, like I said, that already know you, and to let people know what you're doing and how you're doing it. Uh, Give us a little snapshot about who is the Honorable Dr. Sharon Beasley T, and what does she do?
Okay. I am a legislator at heart, 28 years in the Georgia General Assembly, 50 years in the state of Georgia, working to get people registered to vote, informing people why it's important to go vote every time a poll opens, for every election, every time, because some person is making policy from when you come into the world and when you go out, that you were here and that you left, all about you. And everybody in every county, in every state, all 159 counties in Georgia, somebody that's elected is saying something about you. So to me, that would mean it's important to have the right people saying the right things, even down to getting your deeds recorded at the clerk's office. That is an elected or an appointed position in the state of Georgia.
Mm.
And if that person makes a mistake, you could not own your own property that you have paid for. Check it out with the people in New Orleans when Katrina went through. A lot of people did not have the proper paperwork. They thought just some paper you put in the drawer. Well, if you don't go and get it registered or to check on it to make sure they put the right information on the record, they didn't have the property. They couldn't get the loans and things. And right
Wow.
now, when I am a minister, so I still have those youth summits and whatnot. We've been doing back to school jams, talking to young people. Children are graduating. I would love to see every child go to a 4-year college, but I'm telling them, since I didn't take that route in the beginning, I decided to be a beautician. So I took cosmetology. That would pay for my college. And then I decided I wanted to work in the office. So I worked in the office as administrative assistant, worked at Lockheed Martin for 30 years. They also paid for my education. So that's how I was able to work, do, and whatnot, and not have to pay but 20% for all the education that I've received. And that's important. They don't. A lot of places don't have those type of benefits, but you can work with organizations that do. So I just want young people to know, to think about what they want to do in life. And I know you want to make a lot of money. I have no problem with that. But when you learn how to operate another person's business, you can always operate your own and pay for your own. Because I've sold
Mm.
real estate. Yeah, I sold real estate in this state. So it's important to know how to do those things. So if you want to be a doctor, a lawyer, Indian chief, I'm for you to go. I'm trying to get Sharon to school right now. He wants to be an engineer. It's a lot you can do, and it's open for you. A lot of schools are looking for minority students in certain areas in the state of Georgia. They're not really talking about it, but it's available. Um, so it's important to know what you want to do. And a lot of people work with their hands. I'm a machinist by trade, and making airplane parts. So I just want young people to realize that the opportunities are there. We just have to take advantage of them. And with the new technology, you have to have a clean record. When I say that, I'm talking about Facebook and all these different entities that we're using, putting all this information on there. You need to be mindful what you put on display, because people are going to all these websites and things and checking you out before you don't even get. In fact, everything you do online nowadays, everybody working from home, they're checking you out before you even get there. They don't even get to meet you personally, like when I was interviewing for jobs. So it's important. It's just important to keep your record straight.
Oh, yeah. And, you know,
right? Have people for election. Yes, sir.
You bring up a strong point. In America, documentation beats conversation. And paperwork is the key over here. When you look at, I look at this American flag, however you look at America, that's a piece of paperwork that America has for everything.
Right.
There's a piece of paperwork that America has for everything. There's a piece of paperwork that America has for everything. Even when it comes down to voting, enslavement, work, education, there's a document or a piece of paper that somebody prepared so that it could dictate what's to be done. Okay? And when you look at voting, the people that come up with the rules, the regulations, the restrictions, everything that we do is based on how somebody voted, how somebody made a thought and said, you know what, this is what we want now. We want to create a new state. We want to create a new city. We want to create a new area. And if you're not prepared, paperwork will even write you out of the paperwork will write you out of what's going on. So it's critical that we have some link with the paperwork, the people that make the paper, the people that the legislative branch of the country that makes the rules, the regulations. They determine if you're going to get a raise. They're going to determine how much you get paid an hour. They determine should you get a PPP package. They determine should you get health care. They determine if retired people can continue to live off the income that they currently living off of. So these legislators or the people we vote for is critical, and it's based on paperwork, documentation. So this is one reason, you know, I think we really have to emphasize the importance of voting, because there are people, and I'm pretty sure, Dr. T, you sat on many situations where money was passing over and passing through, and you know, you have to look at it and see what is it that the people that I represent can have. A piece of this pie, a piece of this glory back here, this American flag, chop it up. And if we don't participate, we will be forgotten.
Right.
New people coming here every day, and they base everything they own on a piece of paper.
Yes.
But yes. I know you've worked on a lot of things, and you've created some legislation. If you had to share one thing, you say, well, doing my political, not to put you on the spot, but if you worked on something or you helped create something or suggested something that turned into a law or a rule that now helps people? What's one of those things?
Okay, just one. So we're talking about getting a raise. Minimum wage has always been a battle in Georgia. This is a right to work state. So one of the first bills I passed in the 90s, and I didn't do it by myself. It was me and 91 other people that had to vote for it to pass the House, was raise the minimum wage.
Oh,
And it took years. Now we we're in a COVID situation where all the dynamics has changed because of the pandemic, and even down to PPE came about because of COVID. And you're able to get insurance that you weren't able to get, because this is not a state that went with expanded Medicaid. But because of COVID, we did get some expansion. People are still able to get what the health care that they need. And the minimum wage has changed. Some people are even making more than $15 an hour in different service areas because they can't get people to come to work. People are just tired of working for less than for minimum wage. Minimum wage don't do nothing. They don't even get you across the poverty line. So it has increased. I mean, it's something. It's sad, but people were not listening. Because my last year in, we were talking about raising minimum wage. And in the situation we're in now, everywhere you go, you find places that haven't opened, that only open part-time or work with few employees. And they want you to come and patronize them when they're slow. We are people that are used to getting things instantly. So we're not used to waiting. And so for the business to stay open now, they got to pay you what you need. And what I try to tell people, just like when you go get a job and you set on what the salary is, and you say, well, I just take it for granted, it's minimum wage. This is what it's going to be, $8 an hour. Well, it's not like that anymore. If it's whatever it is more than $8 an hour, then you also need to have a package if you have to leave, or they send you packing, because this is a right to work state. So if you're making $15 an hour, whatever it is, you just look out for the day that you have to leave, and they can fire you for any reason. So because of that, you need something should they decide to let you go for so many weeks. You have to plan for the future when you're going in. So I'm sorry, I just went away, but anyway, it's important that you
but that's a good one.
And stick to it. Because see, the thing that I looked at going through this piece was I wanted to make money, and how much money I wanted to make and how much money I needed was important. So I wound up staying 30 years at Lockheed Martin because those other places could not bring me all that I needed to get what I needed done with the benefits that I needed. So now you calculate all the benefits you need to pay for on your own. So your salary should match up with that. So you have to look out for yourself. COVID has taught us a lot. So you have to have money saved up for a rainy day. They say, oh, that's old folks stuff. Well, we have had some rainy days. Everybody that's living now has seen some rainy days. And so you have to have money in place. That's why the PPE came about, because they knew nobody could stand during that time if they're working a job. So it was just impossible. The stock market would probably have crashed if people didn't get money. And you see, they still didn't give it all to the right people. That's the well. Okay, I'm through.
Right. Yeah. And you know what? Now you bring up a good thing, because people fault different people for their problems.
Yes.
one of the things, even in the state of Georgia, with the governor, when you look at Georgia having 100 and 59 counties, that means
Right.
they got 159 representatives for them counties. They've
Yes.
got a lot of other representatives for each of the cities and the little town. Now, somebody in there uh, probably didn't think that the people that they represent needed that money. And I'll say that again. Somebody in there
Mm-hmm.
didn't think that the people that they represent needed that money. The way this system is set up, you have what the executive level, you got the legislative level that set to write the bills, the laws, the rules, and then you got the judicial level that enforces the laws and the rules and all that type of stuff. And many of the things like PPP loans and things like that, minimum wage, making sure people got Medicare and Medicaid, uh, even the governor. But the governor can be moved and motivated to go with whatever the legislators, the people that the people represent, that can move and motivate the governor to get out of the way on certain things. But some people think that they say, well, you know what? Once you understand politics, everything else will make sense. Once you understand politics, everything else will make sense. Once we understand politics, everything else will make sense. You know, we say, well, why can't I get this? Who did that? Who stood in the way of that? Well, that year you didn't vote.
Thank you. Yes.
You
Yes.
allow somebody to creep in there and they block your blessing, or they block whatever it was that was going to help you, your family, and your community. Uh,
Yes.
well, one of the questions I might have to ask is here in Georgia, the we got an election coming up, the 24th, and a lot of people I've asked, they say, Drummer, I didn't know they had an election coming up in May. And some people don't even know they got one coming up in November. But they said, man, I thought we just I don't pay attention to nothing like that. I don't keep up with politics. But politics affects everything that we do. Politics affects everything that we do. Like you say, when it comes down to money on your job, when it comes
Mm-hmm.
down to taking care of your elderly people, Medicaid
Yes.
and Medicare. I didn't know
Mm-hmm.
how important Medicaid and Medicare was until my mom needed it. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I wasn't paying attention. I didn't know how important many of the things, even in education, was until I started really to pay attention to it. But we have to pay attention to so much that's happening, and there, like you said earlier, people are making decisions for us, our families, and our communities. And if you just sit back, they'll they won't even recognize that you here.
Thank you. Mm-hmm.
But
That's true.
I mean, they'll act like he do not exist. They'll draw a distance. They'll close the schools down. Uh,
Thank you.
and I was talking to a brother the other day. We were talking about schools and school closure. Uh, the boards that we elect. They just fired a lady in the cab. I think she was a school superintendent. That's a powerful position, and it determines a lot of the curriculum, uh, a lot of the things that are going to be done for school. And if you're in a neighborhood and you don't have a school, you can put a zero by your neighborhood. It's probably not going to be around that much longer.
Right.
If you don't see a school in your neighborhood, you might as well
Mm-hmm.
put a zero by your neighborhood and say, excuse me, and they say, you know what? This neighborhood is not going to even be around in the next five
Yeah.
to 10 years. They're going to
That's
turn
good.
it into uh, like Metropolitan Avenue or any place like that. But when schools started to develop, and that's one reason we have to pay attention, uh, that brings people in. And when people come in, they can shift the dynamics.
Yes.
In Atlanta, I always look at the Bluff. We know it as the Bluff. They call it English Town now. Uh, that's a good question. Segue into that. What's happening with redistricting? When they redistrict someplace, they redraw the lines. People say, "Man, this is my hood," but when they draw them lines a little bit different, that ain't your hood no more.
Thank you.
It's some new people that moved in, and Georgia is really good at redistricting an area. We just had a big thing in Georgia where, let me make sure I'm right. I think the state turned blue.
Yes,
Okay,
yeah,
blue.
and
But
yeah, November
Georgia said,
22.
yeah, they said this ain't gonna happen no more. The state representatives, they said, oh no, we gonna put a cure to this. We gonna redistrict. They created a new district in Georgia in district number 62. That did not exist before. They chopped it up again. So they will redistrict your area, and you got to make sure you got a politician that's gonna stand steady. Uh, but one of the questions was, because a lot of people don't understand what redistricting, when they redistrict or gerrymander your community, what that does to the community. Like I said, when you look at what's that, the Bluff, it's called English Town now.
Okay.
You know, yeah, they got a whole new game over there. I mean, it ain't the Bluff. I saw a brother walking around. He said, "Man, I remember my auntie used to have a store over here.
Mhm.
Man, they running them out the neighborhood. It's a new people. It's a new day,
Yeah.
and redistricting is not a bad thing,
Mhm.
but if you are not prepared to stay there, because they're gonna go up on the prices of
Taxes.
rent. See,
Mhm.
they used to just burn you out. They just burn your house down and make you leave. Now they just raise the price to the rent. They raise your taxes, and these people say they coming from other places. Oh yeah, we don't mind. Oh, extra $200 a month. Oh yes, no problem. And that's pushing people out of those areas. But when you look at redistrict, uh, is it, because I think people sometimes don't see anything they can do to either slow it down, prevent it. But were some of those challenges there when you were in elected office, when they were trying to redistrict a place and you knew that was going to push black and brown people up out of that area?
Yes, I think well, I know for sure. I was elected in 92, sworn in 93, and we had about four redistricting uh, sessions right after they drew the lines in 92 because the matter of fact, the Democrats sued against the Democrat saying she shouldn't have did the districts like that. They won, and they redrew the districts because I went in as a 58, and I wound up, I think, with a 48 something. But and just tweaking. Now redistricting, it's still the numbers are the same. The numbers it's only 180 House members, and so what they do is they draw the lines for the different House members. Like, okay, my district up until this year was 65. Well, they moved 65 from not only Douglas County, South Fulton, and split South Fulton, and went to Coweta County. So you may get more competition from people that don't think like us in that district now, because you brought in people that are not used to being, well, have probably never been represented. That's Newt Gingrich's area. So they have not been serviced by a black Democrat in that area at all. Now, on the county level, they've had some some changes they had back in the day, but I don't see them anymore. And Douglas County, it's all the Democrat because they took over the whole thing. But that's what they did to us. So, like you say, 62 has been around. But they changed where it is. That's what they did change because, like, okay, you know about Fairburn because you've been down here, Fairburn, Union City, and all of that. Well,
Fairburn, right? Yes.
Okay, well now 65 don't take in downtown Fairburn.
Whoa.
Yes. It's yeah.
Well, and I just gotta put it out to our audience out here. It's just like this flag. Now we see the flag. It's not gonna change. It's gonna be 50. Well, it's probably not gonna change. 50 stripes. But I mean, 13 stripes and 50 states. Well, they chop it up to reflect how they want it to be. That means that if there's a strong black and brown population group, and they say, you know what, these folk are doing too much, they're being too proactive. What we're gonna do, we're gonna redraw it, and when we redraw it, just like I'm moving my head, we're gonna make it. Let me make sure we're gonna redraw it where all this is now a new district, and it used to be over here. But when they redraw it, it's over here.
Yeah.
And now that district, you just lost a bunch of people over there because those folk are not in a new district.
Yes.
And people say, wow, I can't understand that. Because like when you look at counties, you look at representation being done, Douglas County, Fulton County, you got a big overlap of counties. And as we start to pay attention, we say, wow, man, you know what? This is why we can't get things done. This is why funding is being, being pulled away. And then you got all these cities that popped up that say, hey, we want to be a city. We want to be a city. And that changed the dynamics of the game. And when the people that are elected, they have a part in drawing the district. Like when they go over there and draw that district up, it can affect them. But this is another question that we have, Representative T. What do you say to people who don't vote or who have lost confidence in the electoral politics? And I'm going to throw this out. The electoral power is just with the president. On local elections, you got the ability, and I think that's why we have to really understand, overstand how this system works. We got to understand how America works before we can figure this thing out. America is a system. But anyway, a lot of people just don't feel, and they just throw it all in the same bandwagon. They say, hey, the president, you get caught up in the presidential elections, and then you forget about your local election because you're basing everything on what they said with presidential election. But anyway, what's your take on people that don't vote because they said, man, my vote don't count? They got the electoral college up there making the decision who gonna be the president. I mean, but what's your take on people they lost confidence? A lot of young people especially. They said, this thing don't work. America don't work for me.
It will work. See, what people don't realize, the people who receive most services that work jobs for other people, they're the 98 percenters. It's 98% of the people, of the electoral population in the United States. It's the 2 percenters, the people that own the companies and whatnot. They only get one vote. So if people look at like, oh, that's that industry, it's the employees. If everybody over 18 would get out and vote, and every time they open a poll, this all could be changed. It's like we changed the Georgia, made it blue in 2020. We're gonna have to keep those same activities going. And
Wow.
I wish that well, you can email me, but I wish that people would talk to people who have been involved, who know something about this piece. And like that video that I looked at tonight, if that was right on, it brought tears
Uh-huh.
to my eyes because it came from a young person. Now I would take him all over the
Oh,
country. I bet you we changed some
yeah, yellow
minds.
paint.
Yes, that was excellent.
Yeah.
We need that.
You know, because a lot of people have given up, and and when you think about it, the process, because you know, most of us not gonna leave America. And I'll say that again.
Yeah.
Most of the people
Yeah.
we talking to, you ain't gonna start a new country.
Right.
You're not going back to Africa.
Right.
You're gonna be here in America. So you got to figure out a way to make this system work. And this system is based on paperwork and documentation. And we can make America work for us, but we got to know the rules of the game. And voting is a powerful thing, and we have to start locally, and we have to hold our politicians accountable. Now, one of the things that we say over here, I think we're gonna be joined by Miss Nadine. She's coming in too. But I always say you should buy, lease, rent, or own a politician. At least one of them. As a family, you gotta lease them. I mean, see, they're not in there for the long run. If they're not doing one thing about our counterparts, and it's not just white people, Jewish people, it could be LGBT people. If you ain't rolling with what they rolling on, they will get you up out of there. Okay?
Yes.
Now, one of the things, you know, but you got to be proactive. You got to check them. What's that lady up there in Spalding County? I always call her out because now people can get upset with her, but she gonna get voted in again because the people in Spalding County say, you know what? She's speaking for us. Yes. Now, as black and brown people, our folk, you know, once they drop that money on them, sometimes I ain't saying it's money, but it could be pressure. But money is pressure, and they might not think about the issues that are relevant to the people that they represent. And that we can get those, like we can change those people. We can get those people out of here when it comes down to making sure our neighborhoods. The president is not going to do that. A new Supreme Court justice is not going to do that. Our local people can make sure that our neighborhoods are safe. Our local people that we elect can make sure schools stay in the neighborhood. Our local people that we elect and can make sure the taxes are, you know, not too high. All these things can be done from a local level. So we definitely encourage people to make sure they register to vote and make sure that you check your voting status. Because when we draw some of these lines, you might be, let me make sure, you might be over there. You used to be over there, but now you're over here. You know what I'm saying?
You have a different
if you're not careful, you're going to get frustrated when you go to the polls because they're going to tell you, oh, you can't vote here. You're in District 62 now instead of District 59.
Yes.
And so we got to pay attention to all of that. And I think we got Nadine coming in too. But to people out there that's on the fence, that say, you know, voting doesn't matter. Voting, you know, when we saw that video with the artist Yellow Paint, Why I Don't Vote, it moved and motivated me because a lot of young people are starting to be a lot more proactive than the older heads. They're saying, you know what, if I'm gonna vote for somebody, I'm going to hold them accountable.
Yes.
Okay? That means that we've got something as a group that we want. And this could be one thing that we said we want. And if that politician is not on board with that, they won't get our vote. And I think sometimes black and brown people, we got a lot of issues that we won't resolve. So folk don't really have to focus on one thing for us. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Because they say y'all want a lot. You know, black folk want a lot. But
Yeah, we need
you can get some folk to say, you know what? If you say anything bad about abortion, you can forget our vote. If you say anything bad about immigrants, you can forget our vote. If
yes.
you say anything bad about LBGT people, you can forget our vote. And I think black and brown people have to be a little bit more specific when it comes down to those politicians and what our expectations are.
Yes. Yes. We need to watch.
And I know
Yeah.
you're pretty open, ma'am.
Yeah.
Well,
I
I
said,
was saying I know you're pretty open.
yes, they need to watch what they're doing. They need to come down like y'all used to do. Whatever seat of
Yeah,
government,
you got to come down to the Capitol.
everybody, everywhere. I mean, the local city, the county. You have to watch.
Right,
Watch the people you elect and support them. My thing is always like y'all always did. Y'all always supported me. The reason because the things that you needed, we worked it out. And that's
right,
on
yes.
city
You,
level,
that,
wherever it was.
Mhm. Hey, now I'm not saying we bought, leased, or own you, but you was our voice. You told us when things were being voted on. You know, I never paid attention to House bill. You say, well, we in session. I'm like, in session? Well, they got House Bill XYZ going down, and y'all need to come out. If you want this, if you want that, you need to come out and let them know. Talk to you, call your congressperson, all this type of stuff. So by making us more proactive, it causes us to be more involved. And I think the
Yes.
more involved we are, the better the things are we can do. Uh, I'm trying to see, Nadine, are you there?
Yes,
Mr. Ms.
Hello.
Ali?
I'm
Hey,
here.
how you doing, my sister? Yeah.
Good.
Oh, it's good to
Yes,
hear
I've
that
been.
voice. You know, we talk about voting and voting and all this and why we should vote. I know you're out there constantly getting people registered and getting people educated on the process. How you doing this evening and what you bring, what you want to talk, what you want to share with the audience out here?
I'm doing great, great, great this evening. Just been sitting back listening to the conversation in reference to educating, constituents all over of Georgia. I know it's usually in a specific district that you would be in as a representative, but you know, um, we look at educating people so they can educate others, especially their family members, friends, and colleagues. Actually, political action chair with NAACP, and in the cab, of course. What we've been doing, registering people to vote before the deadline, which was on the 25th of April, and we was very successful by going into the high schools in DeKalb County. Almost got 400 applications. I'm glad you put that up, whoever put that up, because tomorrow starts early voting throughout Georgia. And I was listening to Miss Beasley T earlier, was saying definitely how important it is to, like they say, each one reach one, teach one. You remember that saying? So,
Oh yeah, yeah.
and they were eager, and I was really glad that they were able to allow us to come into the schools and register the students who are 17 and a half to vote. Um, I always indicate to any and everybody, like you said earlier, know your status, because the districts have changed, even though they're going to implement them starting after November next year, the beginning of 2023. But guess what? Always check your status, because you just never know
Right.
how they may decide to just change things and the voting date, you go to the poll, you're not at that poll location anymore. And it can be critical of you being able to get your vote, especially if you close to 7 o'clock and can't get to the other, location in time. That precinct supposed to be able to allow you to have a provisional ballot. A lot of people don't know this in reference to the provisional ballot. You're at your wrong precinct, they should offer it to you. And it's sad that they don't. And even in the last cycle, we heard a lot of people were saying, oh, the precinct voting location didn't even have provisional ballots. And that just was unacceptable because you're supposed to be able to have that where a person can use that to go ahead and cast their vote. But it is highly critical and very important that within 3 days, you would have to go to the voter registration office, fill out a new application or check your status and make sure, you know, where you are. If you have to fill out a new application, if address, you know, change need to be made or so forth, go ahead and do it. And it has to be within that 3 days. Voting should not be as hard and is acting like a zigzag that we have to go through because of the changes. And we all know those that like the button say staying woke. We all, and a lot of people don't like to hear that, but staying woke is simply meaning that your consciousness is on. It needs to be on at all times. But yes, that's 24/7, 365 days a year to ask someone if they need to, register to vote, change their address, change the name. Um, and like you were saying earlier, drama, how, uh, well, it ain't gonna make no difference. Well, it will make a difference. And like they say, it's all in the way you see it, whether the cup is half full or half empty. You want to try and get them to see that it's half full and not to just stay, where you are mentally when it comes to uh, accepting and wanting change. People say they won't change, Miss T, Beasley T, but really, do you really want it? But back in just putting out nuggets right now, of course, knowing uh, Reginal Drummer from being a co-host with him on People TV, Good News at Prime Time, which was Sylvia Hayes' show. And he know how we roll. We just be telling the truth for matters and leaving nuggets out there for people to get. But for those that are on the fence and going to cast a vote, it's just like casting to go to the grocery store to get some groceries. Stay involved, stay informed. A lot of people say, "Oh, I don't want to be a part of the political process," but that's so important. It is so needed. Make sure you have everything in status. Not just your voting status, but you have to have the want to get out there and go. Like you mentioned earlier, and this is what I always try and leave uh, anybody that I talk with is whoever is running for your district, whether it's a commissioner or what is it? It's a commissioner in some areas, and what are they? Councilmen in others. Like for instance, commissioners in DeKalb County, but in Atlanta areas, councilmen. Okay, they call it the same thing. Those are your local political elected officials, and you have those. You have your state, and you have your national. Like you were saying earlier, Reginald, a lot of people tend to look at just president, president, president. What makes a big difference is your elected official locally. I always leave with people, make sure that you get to know who has been elected, whether that's the person you wanted or not. Don't just stop and not continue to engage with whoever is in office. Let them know that, you know, if it's things that needs to be done in your neighborhood, or just coming to them to, introduce yourself and staying on top of what they're doing, and let them see you, whether it's locally, state, or federally. And it's always good to get to know them, get on their email list, so you can make sure that get what their any events that they got going on. Um, I know we tend to do community conversations, with the community. We tend some of the things, the outreach we do to ensure that the constituents get information, at these food banks that they have, at the churches giving away the food. We usually give out, like when the election first start, or just reminder, like you were saying, checking your status, um, the sos.ga.gov, you link so they can go and check the status. And one thing I want to mention, I know it's always so much to pull out. That's why I'm constantly saying different things. But one thing I would like to mention, I like for everybody to go out there and check the sos.ga.gov. That's the Secretary of State website. See just
Right.
how they say convoluted that site is. It used to be easy. They done updated the website. I know Miss Beasley. No, it makes it hard for a person to go check their voter status, and that's that MVP. But for the most part, stay engaged. Um, they've changed, you know, being careful on the Senate Bill S2, it's a 202. Um, they've changed, of you not being able to give out snacks and stuff to people if they water, like Miss Beasley was just doing, to give out water to people, standing in line. That could be you getting in jail. So you don't want to get yourself in that kind of predicament. A lot of people, I think I kind of touched on a couple of points. I don't know if you need to ask. One thing I would like to say, what I noticed on the ballot this time, a lot of Republicans are on the ballot, down the line, uh, with the Libertarians and the Democrats. So I've just noticed that one change, and that hasn't happened, just for information and education for the voters. Um, Go out to your Secretary of State website or your county voter registration website. They usually have a sample ballot. Again, tomorrow's starting early voting. Look on that sample ballot to see, you know, who's running. Miss Beasley Teague, no, it's so many people on that ballot. Miss
Okay.
Teague,
Well,
I know you started earlier. What area do you represent?
Okay, I'm retired now, but
Okay,
uh, I work with the local elections here in
okay,
the state, but also the reason we were able to change Georgia the way we did because I'm part of the Nobel Women, the National Organization of Black Legislative Women, uh, National Conference of Black State Legislators, and
okay.
different organizations like that. And I'm a machinist, International Association of Machinists, and we politics all over the state. So we have somebody in the labor department that's union friendly. So that's
Okay.
why I keep up with that piece because that's what we do. But in Georgia, we are ready to get another victory on the local level. I don't care how many people they put on the ballots. As long
Exactly.
as we vote 99% of the time, we can change things because they're just doing that because they want to please their people, and I don't have no problem with that. But we got
Right.
them every time. Even the districts are
Right.
new to us, is new to them too.
Exactly.
Information that's difficult, it's
Right.
difficult
Yeah.
to them too. So
Exactly.
call me
Yeah.
or
It's all about,
Oh,
you
yeah,
know,
educating,
hey,
educating, and
you,
right,
you,
educating.
you know what?
education.
It's difficult for everybody, and this is why it's so critical that we put our stuff out. We had a question out there. A guy was saying, "Man, they got everybody on these ballots." One of the things we got to understand: most of the stuff that's set up in voting was created through a racial paradigm, meaning that they set it up to stop and impede brown and black folk from voting. When they made it right for you to vote, they had to put something. The primary itself is
I know we probably lost
Yeah,
Reginald.
yeah.
His signal is probably going in and out. And one thing I did want to mention, of course, I mentioned NAACP, the CAP. We are nonpartisan. The things that we're talking about is making sure, like you said, Ms. Beasley Teague, that to ensure that everybody, get out there and vote and know, like you're trying to reach. I'm sorry, you're back, Mr. Drama.
oh yes, but
Okay.
sorry about that. They must didn't want me to get this in there. But
Okay.
the primaries itself is built on racism. Remember, see, when you got a primary, everybody's in the hat. Right now, if you're a liberal, a loyal Democrat, you can vote for a Republican.
Not right now. Not in
If
the
you're a
primary.
loyal Republican, well,
No, not
you
now.
can't.
You can't
Right.
primary. Not in the primary. You have to stick to whatever party
you
you
can't.
are affiliated
In
with.
primary.
In the primary, you can't vote across the board to
Okay.
November.
Okay.
Right
Right.
now, whatever you say you are,
To
that
November.
lane you got to stay in until November.
Well,
If it's a runoff or
we'll break
something, it's
that
still
down for the people because we'll break that down for people because one of the things that happened. Remember when Cynthia McKinney was running and Denise Leggett beat her. Republicans
yes.
crossed over and voted for Leggett. So there's strategic voting.
Right. That's
Right.
because they didn't
But
have a
but break that down for our audience.
they didn't have a Republican running that a race that was important to them, but it was important to them to beat McKinney. So they
Right.
signed up as Democrats, and that's how they were able to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and that was at the primary level. That's where they beat her at the primary level. Well,
Right. Yes.
but that's because what they did was they signed up as Democrats to vote in that race
Mm-hmm.
because they wanted to get rid of Cynthia.
Right.
But you can't do that.
And that's what we call.
It's
You
crossover.
can't do it now.
Not in the primary. Whatever you're going to be in the primary until you get a candidate.
Okay.
Vote like that until November. November, you go across the board. We're trying to get to November, but right now you got to be whatever you say you are. So they get right now since you have since you're telling me they got everybody on the ballot, libertarians, Democrats, and Republicans. Somebody you got to stay with whatever suit you pick. I'm a Democrat, so
Okay.
I'm gonna stay with that suit all the way through. But I will register anybody after this piece is done for the November election.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, ladies, now we gonna have to do a part two because voting is so critical. People, everything we do is. If you were here in America, like I said earlier, most of us not gonna leave America. Okay, we're gonna either die here. Most of us not gonna get citizenship nowhere else. So we got to make this little system over here work. So voting is our voice to make this thing work. But if there's any last minute things y'all want to share with the audience to move and motivate them when it comes down to voting. I mean, for instance, what's at stake for Georgians right now? Because a lot of Georgians don't know what's at stake. just tell them what's at stake for them in this particular election. You got Herschel Walker running. You used to have I forgot the other guy running. You got so many people running, but what's at stake for Georgia, and what do you recommend that people do? If you had to just put one thing out there, what would you say?
I would say what's at stake is, like it's been stated, losing uh, two critical U.S. senator seats, and and actually individuals need to make sure that they, do the homework, and that's a whole nother show in itself. People want to be told because we're used to being told instead of going and searching for yourself. Or when these candidates have something, go to it and see what their platform's all about. What's their vision, especially for your own community.
Okay. I say you vote
That's
for the
good.
person that's going to deliver you what you need. And to know that, you have to uh, talk to them or talk to somebody on their campaign. And I got an
Mm-hmm.
idea of most of the people in Metro County, uh, what they will do and what you need, what we all need.
Mm-hmm. And it's something how even today, 2022, a lot of people act like they scared to go up and ask the candidate a question. That's a whole nother show. We
Yeah.
still have a hold on
Ooh,
us,
well,
okay?
hey, I had to put this out. They got this little thing that say, "What would Jesus do?" You should be asking, "What would your politician do?" When you think about our politicians, and I'm a firm believer, we surrender them, own them, control them, or lease them. Okay? When politicians know that the people are back in control, politicians would do the right thing for the people that they represent. But I thank each of you ladies for joining us. If you want to give us any contact information that you can send out to the audience so they can contact you and follow up and those type things, starting with you, uh, Dr. Sharon, DCT, any contact information, how can people get in contact with you?
It's my email address is right there right now. Can you see it?
Okay.
REGT
Miss
at Yahoo.
Nadine,
So how do I do
okay.
an email, or where do I go to put it in? I'm not used to
You can
stream
put it
time.
in the chat. You can put it in the chat, or you can tell us verbally. Either way.
Sure, because I don't know how to get to the chat on this.
Okay, what is it? I can put it in.
Thank you
Okay.
so
Well,
much.
give us a
What?
verbal. Yes,
Oh,
ma'am.
let me see. Sure, it's Stay Healthy 24 at ymail.com. Again, Stay Healthy 24 at
Okay.
ymail.com.
Oh, you said dot. Okay. I'm sorry, baby.
You was thinking dot org?
Uh,
Yes, it's ymail.com. Or they can call me at 404-735. That's 20. Okay, 404-735-8607 is the phone number, but it's the 24 instead of 23. It's
Oh,
I'm sorry. Stay healthy 24. Stay healthy 24/7, okay? But it's at Ymail. Thank
okay.
you so much, Miss Beasley, for
okay. I'm sorry.
definitely doing
Well,
that. I want to know
you know
how you
what?
go in and do chat. How do you
It's
go to do chat?
Yeah. Well, thank both of you for sharing the information. Evening is powerful, and this is for the people because the people need to know. One of the things that we really focus on over here is staying ready. If you're not ready, you're gonna be passed over. You're gonna be looked over, and you're gonna be hoping and praying that somebody show up that's gonna take care of you. And guess what? In America, ain't nobody gonna take care of you. This country that we currently live in, if you don't fight for it, the things that many of our ancestors have died for, and one of those things was voting. So don't take voting for granted. Figure out what you need to do. Follow up with your politician. We say find, focus, follow up, and finish with a politician. Your politician should be talking to you on a regular basis. Your politician, elected official, should be talking to you on a regular basis. So that's part of our we already uh just for this evening. But I encourage you to like, share, subscribe over here uh to our Square Mile Media Atlanta, so you can get more details and information. Follow us on Facebook as well as We Are Ready. But the big thing is this: stay ready. Stay ready. Don't be the poster child for not knowing what's going on, looking around like Coco Papa. I didn't know they were doing this. I didn't know they were doing that. Where these people come from? America is not going to be your friend. They're going to push you in the streets. They're going to draw new lines, and you'll be out there wondering what happened. So with that being said, stay ready at all times. This is Reginal Drummer, the peopleologist. And you know what we say over here? The secret of walking on water? Just knowing where the rocks are. And guess what? Let me look at it. We working. Stay working. Stay ready. I love you like God loves the world. We'll see you next week. Next week is Mother's Day. So we're going to do a big program for mothers. Everybody got a mother. You might not know who your daddy is, but trust me, you know who your mama is. All right. Y'all have a great day. We'll see you next week. Make it a great day, and check your voting status. Check your voting.